to me. At some point, that bell has to ring and the superstar has to perform. Yep. It's just like
that's true.
Like having a great entrance, but you suck in the ring, or that's like having great mic skills, but then when you get in the ring, kind of like we say with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So it depends. You got to have something that can, have a balance. But we don't really see a lot of balance anymore in superstars.
That's true. Now, I didn't like when he did the Ultimate Warrior thing.
I wanted him to trip when he did.
Yeah,
I wish he would have.
That was really disappointing. I mean, considering the fact that Ultimate Warrior passed a couple years ago now, and they've been still adamant with the Ultimate Warrior's family, and they do a lot of things referencing the Ultimate Warrior and WWE. So for him to do that, to take that shot, considering that
he should have did Hogan or somebody.
Yeah, considering that his purpose is to say that these are entertainers and not wrestlers, for him to do that, the Ultimate Warrior is a deep shot, and I didn't like it at all. Yeah, I think we can both agree that put us in a very bad.
He was running around the ring. I wanted him to his leg to get caught.
Yeah.
On the stairs, and he tripped and fell, and that would have put that whole segment to shame. But I understand what Dolph is saying, but I want to know where this is leading for him.
Right. But now I will say this. Now, Wrestle Talk TV on YouTube, they said that this is supposed to be kind of a segue leading into him starting to feud with Bobby Roode. Because he's the only person right now that has the most bragging, exaggerated entrance. So
and you notice with Nakamura when he first came up from NXT, the first feud
was against Dolph Ziggler,
and now Bobby Roode. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So which is also to me a disappointment for the last 2 weeks now. Bobby Roode hasn't been up there, and that's for me. It's that's who they need to push. I really believe in Bobby Roode right now. So, and also I want to just shoot through this real quick because we were talking about it beforehand. Before we get on the main event, which was the Vince McMahon and KO, they had the tag match between Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin against the Hype Bros, and I like that Zack Ryder at the end, he kind of walked out on everybody, and so maybe that's going to push a beef between the two, which will make a more of a relevant feud than them being a tag team. Mm-hmm. But I don't like the tag team with Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin.
I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah, I feel like Shelton Benjamin is now he's gotten really big, in a muscular sense. So I feel like he needs to start going towards higher status as a heavyweight, especially the fact that right now they aren't pushing Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin into any tag team picture. So if they're not going to put a belt on him, I feel like he needs to go ahead and just go his own route to at least get some kind of singles title. And I like Chad Gable as a wrestler, and I felt like they should have kept him in U.S. title contention or something. Just both of them needs to be in singles. I feel like even though I did like Chad Gable with Jason Jordan as American Alpha, but since they split it, I felt like there's nothing they can really do to redeem or rebuild that, and both of them just need to go singles.
And they could be trying to just put them together to try to build their momentum as a tag team, because you just don't want to throw them in a tag team match and they haven't really had a chance to build any chemistry together. But I'm still not a fan of the tag team.
Right.
I think Benjamin should have came back as a singles competitor. Maybe have him and Chad Gable go against each other.
Yeah.
In singles matches, and then maybe break up the Hype Bros and put them in their own little single category too. But I'm not a big fan of it either. But, I mean, right now, if we get to finish, we're kind of running low on time. If not, we'll probably let it bleed over to another segment where we finish up on SmackDown Live and then go to the next segment of the podcast. But we know Kevin Owens came out earlier, and then what happened last week with Shane McMahon getting suspended and everything with this whole feud with Kevin Owens. Came out earlier, was just kind of talking about how this is going to be the Kevin Owens show and all this other stuff. The whole thing with Dolph and Shane, pretending to be Shane. And Daniel Bryan comes out, talks to Kevin Owens. I think he said something to him about, hard work and manual labor. You should try it. He told Kevin Owens that, basically saying instead of whining or complaining or people giving you championships or something, maybe you should try it. And he was like, well, when Vince gets here, he won't like what I have to say. And so they kind of left it at that. And then Vince kind of showed up late to the show. KO came out, called him out. Vince comes down with that Vince McMahon strut. No chance.
No chance. So that's what you got.
Yeah, that No Chance theme song. It was good to hear that song again.
Yeah.
And they began to kind of talk a little bit. I want to play a little segment of that before we close it out with this, and I'm going to play it right here.
Give us one moment. Here it goes.
Now, Kevin, let me get this straight. Last week you come out here, you disparage the McMahon name, you make heinous, derogatory comments. Shane McMahon got in your face and jumped you, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He was all over you with that. Apparently earlier tonight, someone said to me that, well, you didn't fight back because you respected authority. That's right. You didn't fight back because you couldn't. You didn't fight back because Shane McMahon was beating your ass.
And I want to go to one more clip on this showdown between Vince and KO here for you guys.
Bankrupt. If there's not going to be a lawsuit, there's going to be a match. That match will be Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. But it'll be inside Hell in the Cell.
All right, me and Shane, Hell in the Cell, fine.
So, that's just a couple of the sound bites. It was some really good stuff they had going on.
Definitely.
In this little confrontation they had. In the beginning, Vince is kind of... KO kind of accused Vince McMahon of being intimidated, and Vince was like, it's kind of more like nauseated, and this was saying, hey, you disrespected my family, and then he was like, you did, we heard the part where he said you didn't fight back because, Shane was beating your ass, but type thing, but then he said something to him about looking in the mirror, like how can you have any type of respect
because you don't respect yourself.
Yeah. And then he kind of went into like, hey, if you try to get a lawsuit on me, it's going to take longer than what you think. And by the time you try to get to court with this, it's not going to even be over because I'm a billionaire. And then by the time you get to court with this, you'll be bankrupt.
Yeah.
So what's some of the sound bites you took from it?
I like when Vince declared that Shane was suspended not because of what he did, but because he didn't finish the job. Now that was definitely a sharp blow. I also like the other part where he was like, you should look in the mirror, and it's like, you don't respect yourself. How could you respect authority? Mm-hmm. But when he was like, basically Shane should have finished the job because he's really sick of him pretty much. I really like that. That really just showed that good old Vince McMahon hatred, basically, on how he despised who Kevin Owens is. And personally, man, I'm really getting annoyed with KO's whiny character, which, I mean, at the end, it does good because after he whines, he becomes aggressive. So, he has his tantrum. Because what we haven't gotten into is basically after all this, after Vince McMahon declared the match and whatever, KO asked Vince McMahon to basically say, do I have your word that if I hurt him, I won't get fired? And then he got specific and he was like, let me know that I have your word that I can do what I want. I can hurt a McMahon and won't get fired. And Vince if provoked. And Vince was like, you have my word. And so then when he shook his hand, it looked like you can see, you can't hear it inaudible, but they're going back and forth. And then KO proceeds to headbutt Vince. Then he immediately starts bleeding.
Blood pack.
And then he hits him a couple more times. He kicks him, and then he does a frog splash on him. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the good part about KO's whining character because he does get angry and his aggressiveness.
And that was very smart of him to get Vince to reel Vince into that little trap.
So now he's like pretty much clean.
My actions against you were justified because you said if a McMahon provokes me,
right,
I have the liberty to attack them.
And so that could actually work in a reverse matter because if Vince tried to sue him, he has the word recorded.
Yeah.
So.
And then what got me too after he kind of beat down McMahon a little bit Stephanie McMahon, our first time seeing her since WrestleMania. And I thought immediately when I saw her, I said, she's going to slap the fire out of Kevin Owens.
She should have.
But she didn't. She kind of like pointed her finger at him like, get in the back right now.
Yeah.
Type look. But I was surprised she showed up on SmackDown. Maybe she was just there with her dad. Maybe Possibly. She came to the show with him. A lot of times we don't see them on the shows, but the people are actually still there. Right. But she came out, I guess, as to show, I'm going to check on my dad and make sure he's okay. But I thought she was really going to slap fire out of
Definitely. And you know what I noticed when he declared this match, and they also talked about it on Wrestle Talk TV on YouTube, is that even though that there's going to be a Hell in a Cell match, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens, lately there hasn't really been a title match held inside the Hell in a Cell.
Last time I saw that, I was going to hit at that. I'm glad you said that because Kevin Owens has fought in a Hell in a Cell match. Last time he did was against Seth Rollins last year for the Universal Championship. That was basically his first title defense after Triple H handed him, and then him and Seth went into a feud. And then he beat Seth in there with the help of Chris Jericho. Somehow Jericho got in the cell and somehow...
He was under the ring, I think.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. But so he has a little bit of experience at Hell in a Cell. Shane's already been in one versus The Undertaker. And kind of like what we were saying earlier before we did the podcast, Shane is overdue a win. Because he's lost to The Undertaker. He's lost to AJ Styles at WrestleMania. So I think this could be the time that Shane wins. Even if a McMahon wins, it doesn't really do anything for them. Right. Because they're the bosses, but maybe this could be his win.
But what I hope this builds to, and like I said, we talked about before, I hope this builds to the return of Triple H. Could be. Maybe, whether... Even if Shane wins, like KO's anger gets the best of him, and he still decides to beat up on Shane McMahon.
I think it may take him to do something. But then Stephanie would have to be on the show for him. Maybe she comes out next week and speaks on behalf of her father, and
he could do that.
And somehow he gets mistakenly hurt Stephanie some kind of way or something, maybe down the line. And Triple H doesn't
play by his wife now.
To that,
It's a good man.
yeah. So I was surprised she showed up on SmackDown. That was the only thing that threw me off. But it is her dad, so maybe she was there with him. But I want to know where this leads to next week. I'm anxious to see where it goes.
I don't know. Because Hell in a Cell is still a few weeks away. So I'm guessing we won't see Shane McMahon anytime soon.
Or he might rescind the suspension though, since
he could, especially since he hit him.
Yeah. So Shane may be back next week. Okay. It could be, I don't know, but we just have to see where it goes. I like the way it's going, but it's still a lot of questions that are unanswered at this point to see how it's going to go.
So, definitely want to see what they're going to do with KO next week because there's a possibility that they could rescind and let Shane McMahon come back. You still have a few weeks until the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which is the next for the SmackDown brand. But so far, that match probably has the best build out of any other match that's going to be set.
That's
on
the only thing they have going right now. Yeah, and because the championship match is not even.
Yeah, the Nakamura and Jinder Mahal is kind of
really building a lot toward that either.
Yeah, they didn't execute any chance to put in Shinsuke this week, like we said earlier, and the Jinder is just growing slowly, but surely at least to the WWE. And I kind of feel like as long as the Sin Brothers are going to be there, he's not going to lose anytime soon until they find somebody dominant enough or find a team that's willing to help the person take out the Sin Brothers in the midst of it.
Maybe lock them in a room or something. Or somehow in the locker room or something to keep them from coming out to the ring and make it a fair match or something.
Or like I said, somebody at least has an entourage or Shinsuke gets a tag team to say, hey, we'll fight we'll fight them for you and get them out of the picture ahead of time. So, quick question, how come the Sin Brothers, aren't they actually wrestlers?
They're wrestlers. They don't wrestle, though. I guess they're more of like his managers or his servants.
But they're really small, too. They really are small. You know what I think they should do? Which is say, while we're in this last few seconds, they should make Cruiserweight Tag Team. I would like. They're small, so I don't see them fighting mainstream.
It could be. That'll give them more to do on 205 Live.
Exactly, and then they have a lot of wrestlers that they're starting to throw under the brush. Like I haven't seen Jack Gallagher on Cruiserweight division. Noam Dar goes in and out. So I mean, I would like to see a tag team division, even though you know me, so far I've been adding belts over and over. But
too many belts, man.
So, but this is all we've talked about. This is all we got. We're in the last few seconds. We are Sports Moods, 2 Moodies,
1 Duty.
That's sports. Stay tuned. We'll be back talking about the NFL for next week and other things in sports. Let's go.